Well, thank you for joining us today for this session. What we're going to talk about today is NX in a managed environment. The agenda said NX here, there, and everywhere, but we still think that's applicable because we will be seeing NX and other related data in the same way that your other users in your community may be seeing it, but you're going to see it right within the NX interface. I'm Michael Allegro. I'm the regional director here at Swoosh. I'm based here in the West Coast, and also joining me today is Reese Shearer. Reese is going to do a demonstration for you guys in a few minutes about looking at your NX data and other data inside of a managed environment right inside of NX. So what you'll see today, you're going to see Team Center. Now, I know a number of you folks out there are already Team Center customers. You may already be using Active Workspace, but you may not be aware that you could take that Active Workspace web-based interface and embed it right inside your NX session, and therefore never having to leave that NX session to do searches and find your data and do a lot of different work, which we'll cover today. We're going to talk about some of the benefits of the managed environment, both overall and doing it in NX. We're going to, Reese is going to show you a demo, which I hope you find beneficial. And then we're going to talk about some of the next steps that are available to you to perhaps take advantage of this capability. So like I said, and you can see the example here in this screenshot, we will be seeing Team Center. It will be running right within the NX interface through Active Workspace. So that's what those tiles are. If you're familiar with Team Center, you've been using it a long time, you know about the rich client, and it's your usual access to Team Center. But Active Workspace has really come a long way in the past few years, and mostly we can see no reason why someone couldn't just use Active Workspace for their day-to-day NX work, and that's what we're going to show you today. So, the Active Workspace, it's a web-based interface to NX. A lot of companies use it for casual users, those that don't need to run CAD to access data, but we're going to show you how to do that yourselves. It's going to run right within NX, right from the resource bar, and Reese will show you how to do that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, and maybe I haven't emphasized it enough, is we're going to be doing all of this managed work and searching and so forth right within NX, never leaving the interface. So can't seem to emphasize that enough. So what are some of the benefits of doing this? Now, overall, having a managed environment like Team Center, it does give you a single source of the truth. You do have one point of access to all your NX data, all your product data, and revisions are managed there. What's the latest working, what is the latest released, all that information, and everybody in the organization is working off of that same source of data. So that's certainly one of the benefits. And because of that, there's some processes you can put in place to help improve your product quality and also speed up product development and so forth. And we think because you're doing this directly within the NX interface, that this really facilitates data reuse. You can quickly find, sort, and reuse data, therefore reducing product development processes and really streamlining product development. And then additionally, because we're doing this right inside of NX, we think it maintains focus. So the work is going to be done right inside NX, never leaving it. I know I keep saying that. And you'll see Reese will show you how you can find data fast and informative. And then because this is just web-based, it's pretty easy to deploy once you have Team Center already in place to get this working within your environment. So with that said, Reese is going to go ahead and show you some stuff, and we hope you enjoy this. Reese?
Thank you, Michael, for the introduction. And before any questions come up, I'm gonna stop you right there. In my version of NX I currently have on the screen, you're going to see NX 1961 at the top. I configured it to save that because I'm on the 1953 series, and that's the latest patch. So I've got multiple versions of NX, and I just need to know where I'm at in those versions. So that's the reason why you're seeing it. If you want to access the manage mode while you have NX open, you're going to go to the far left to the resource bar here, and you have that icon right there, the globe and triangle. that gets you into the database or the managed mode. With that, you have some icons over to the far left, and you can sort of see you've got your favorite, your folders, inbox, and so on. You'll find them here in the tiles too. So there's my folder, inbox, favorites. Depending on what you want to do, select the tile and you're off and running. So I'm going to go ahead and check my inbox here because I started at the beginning of the day. That's where I like to go and see what my tasks are. And I do see that I have some sign-offs that I need to take care of. There's about 6 of those. And then I have some tasks to do there. So if I go ahead and select I'll select this guy here. So it gives me just the 2 tasks, and I can see that here on the far left. So if I pick one of those, it gives me information about that task, what I need to do, or perform some sort of change there. Along the top, you have some, we'll call them tabs, because it's, you select them, it'll take me to that workflow process, attachments, and overview. So it gives me information about that particular to-do thing that I have to take care of for my work today. Going back into home here, I have my typical folder structure, and if I go ahead and select that, if you do work with NX, you have your new stuff folder, and everything that you create automatically goes in that new stuff unless you place it someplace else in the system. To review what's in those folders, if I just hover over top of it, I get that little triangle, go ahead and select that, and it brings me into the folder, and I can see what parts are inside of there. The release status, if it's been checked out, what sort of process it's going through, the workflow process, and classified in information there. So I have nothing. I'm going to go ahead and select home again, and I'm going to go ahead and pick KCAR here. So I've got my assembly that I'll take a look at here in a minute. So just different ways of accessing the data without getting outside of NX. Going back to home here, if I needed to do a search for a part in the system, all the way to the far right, up in the top here, I've got a search options that I can filter things on and off to dial down what I'm looking for. So there is any owner, that's everybody that's in the database, or I can select for just my parts. You also have any type. If I select something else in there, I can do schedules, part revisions, and so on. So I'll leave that as type. For the search, I can go ahead and change the revision rules. So if I only want to see parts that are precise only, I can turn that on. Any status working, I can go ahead and leave that on too. So I'm going to say any status in working because that gives me a broader range of files that I search for. So let me go ahead and type in 01 because that'll give me a lot of parts in the system. So doing that, I can take a look underneath search here, and there's roughly 1,300 files in the system with the revision of 01 in there. So now that this column is open, I can go ahead and filter it down even more. But if you look to the far left there, maybe I'm just concerned about a part file that's been floating out in the system. So there's Loctite. Go ahead and turn that off. It brings me back, and I can go ahead and drill down to files only. You can see the number dropping down inside of there. I can take it a step further, and we'll say, let's do DR and see what that gives me. So it brings me down to 5 items. And these are all Word documents. So I'll go ahead and turn that off. With that, since I have 119, I can just go ahead and select and I'll drill. So it gives me information about the particular drill that I'm seeing on the screen. And again, looking at the tabs that are at the top of the screen there gives me information about what is attached, history, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to home here and select my folder. Go into my KCAR group here, or folder, and then I've got an assembly in here that I'll look at. The there may be different revisions, and I need to pick the oldest revision. So taking a look at the rear seat assembly here, I see there's a Rev C on that, and I really need to look at the Rev A. So in that case, I'm going to select the little icon to open it on the right of that naming convention there. And once I have it open, I still see C. But again, if I look at the tabs along the top here, I can go to History, and maybe I want to go to Rev A. So now I can either open it here and access it and X this way. So it'll push that out into my display. So very quickly, just going through the system there. Now, how do you make parts in the database from NX? There are a couple different ways you can do this. While I'm in the assembly, I can create a file while I'm working in the assembly and save it into the system, or I can do the typical way of going out to File New and building my file that way. So in this case, I'm going to go over to the Assembly tab and just create a new file real quickly. So I already see it on my list of parts there in my Assembly Navigator, and I would just make that my work file. Go ahead and start doing some sort of design work. So let's go ahead and do an extrude and make sure that I pay attention to my snap options and selection options at the top there. So I need to create a sketch. I'm going to put on the front face here. And then just go ahead and design, I don't know, a plate for the bottom of that. Go ahead and reverse that. Let's give it an offset. Let's do 5. And pretty quickly, I've built a part while I'm in the assembly. So I'll go ahead and save that, and we'll go back to the top assembly. So very quickly. Now, the other way to do that is to come to File, select New, and you have to select Item. So an item is really the top level of, it's the boundary, it's the, I'll put it this way to make it easy. It's the book cover. It holds everything about that book inside of it. So all the revisions, item is going to be the outside container that holds all those revisions. And then inside those revisions, you're going to have all the data that makes up that particular revision. Your part, your drawing, any sort of text file, or requirements, you can put it all inside that item revision. So first, we'll start off with an item. I'm going to create a model part, millimeters. Anytime I see a red asterisk, I have to satisfy the asterisk, otherwise I'm not going to be able to hit apply or OK. So I'll double click that, and we'll give this a name. All right. For the directory, I have a folder there. Typically, it goes into the new stuff, but I can put it someplace else like that K car. And go ahead and hit OK, and it opens up a brand new part for me. So I will go ahead and build something real quick here. And it's falling off the screen, so let's go ahead and put a let's put a chamfer on there. That looks good. And I'll go ahead and change that color. Save my part. I just used a hotkey that I typically use, and then now that I'm done with it, I can go ahead and close that. So since I've got 927 there, go ahead and close that guy. Brings me back into my assembly because it was already open in another tab. So now that that's done, I want to go ahead and put something through a workflow process. So coming over to my managed environment, I'm going to go to my home directory, folders, and I believe I put the part in the K car. Might have been a new stuff. So there's my Ed Shearer part, and I need to put that through a workflow process. So if I highlight that guy, I could either go ahead and use the icons over here to the far right, or I can go ahead and open that up to take a look at it before I actually do release it or put it through a workflow process. So since it's highlighted, again, you got your different tabs that you can use, or just go ahead and put it through a workflow process. So I'm going to submit my template here. Now, the templates that I'm using are out of the box. Your administrator may get rid of some of those templates depending on your company's requirements. So inside of here, out of the box, there's a whole list that you could use. I'm going to use a simple one just to make it easy for this demonstration. Do a quick release. If there was actually somebody that needed to be attached to the release process and needed to sign off on it, you would go ahead and apply their name to that sign off. So since I don't have anybody, I'm going to leave it as is and go ahead and submit that. Now, if you ever get a message that comes up, it's sort of like a pink message saying that it can't put it through workflow process. Chances are you have it open in your screen. Go ahead and save it, close your part, and then you're able to put it through the workflow process. So going back into that folder, let's go into the KCAR folder there. I can see the Ed Shearer part has been released in the system. So very, very simple interface. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Mr. Allegro.
Thank you, Reese. So, one couple things I want to cover before I recap what you saw. If you already have Team Center, just want you to know there's no additional licensing in order to do Active Workspace. There is some configuration, and once again, if you already have it out there, it's pretty easy to deploy. If you don't have it configured, you can contact us and we can maybe help you do that. It does work on from Team Center 11 on, and so whatever versions of NX work with Team Center 11 and beyond, you can get this capability. If you want some more information on it, please contact your sales rep, and he can get you in touch with someone at Swoosh to talk about how we can help you. And then, if you don't have Active Workspace and you're looking at it to do it within your NX environment, this interface is also very useful for others in the organization that could want to get more access to the database and the product data, but think it may be a little complicated to do it in the current Team Center environment. This Active Workspace environment is really easy to use. It's Windows friendly, can run in any browser almost, and it's really simple to use. So what did you see today? Well, once again, you saw Active Workspace running with Team Center inside of an NX environment, never leaving the interface. So that's very beneficial. The benefits are there was really easy and informative searching that you saw Reese do. And there was, even ran it through a simple workflow. Those workflows can be a little more complicated, but it's a great way to release data, lock it down, know that what you're working on is the latest release, and it's the most reliable data, and so forth. And then lastly, it's no additional software licensing cost to get this capability. And so talk to and reach out to your sales rep at Swoosh if you want some more additional information on how we might be able to enable you to do exactly what you saw today. So I appreciate everybody's time. Look forward to chatting with you in the open office session and our office hours session, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.